Hey, everybody, coming at you this time from my porch. Um, Very rarely this summer you're going to get in-car reviews because it is just so hot here where I'm at. It was like a 98 degrees today, so this has got a nice breeze blowing off of my uh, landscape or whatever this is. So anyway, I went to see Superman today, and I'm going to tell you all about what I thought. I'm going to kind of break this up into two parts. First part, I'm just going to tell you my overall impressions of it for those who haven't seen it. For those who have seen it, I'm going to give like a second part of just kind of, hey, here's some questions to think about. So I'm going to say spoiler alert, and those of you who haven't seen it and you want to jet off at that point, do it if you haven't left already, because you're like, why doesn't this guy just tell me to go see the film? Because you know I'm going to tell you to go see the film. Unless it's The Brutalist, I'm going to tell you to go see the film. Um, so first off, thing I would say in this is James Gunn does a fantastic job in this film. Um, and I'm old school DC fan. I've loved DC since I was a kid. Read the books, Super Friends, Superpowers collection from Kenner. Grew up on the Richard Donner stuff, Tim Burton, Frank Miller books when he violated and broke the comic book code with Dark Knight Returns and the Watchmen when eventually they moved fully to DC. Controversy, so we're going to talk about it. But I'm enough of a DC fan that I'm just happy to see our people on the screen, right? I know there's going to be Zack Snyder versus James Gunn. We can exist in multiple universes and multiple perspectives, DC fans, right? Isn't it just great to put our people on the screen? I say this as a Green Lantern fan. Like, Green Lantern is my comic book character, and Green Lantern has been in the DC Phantom Zone since Ryan Reynolds. And I was even mad about that because I loved the Green Lantern movie. I know, bring it on. But I loved it. I thought maybe it was just too much for people who weren't initiated with Green Lantern. Like, they put in too many villains. They could have just done the Emerald Dawn storyline from the early 90s and introduced people slowly. There it is. But this is great. From the minute that John Williams' score hits in the beginning, the first opening where it talks about what's happening, and then John Williams is smattered throughout the film, it's such a great invisible thread that ties the Superman universe together. And there's homages to people like Mark Waid, and there's different people and different events. If you read the Easter eggs, there's a great number of Easter eggs for us DC fans to get a hold of. But it's also accessible to people who may not know like the DC lore. Maybe Superman, Superman's backstory, but you don't know all the other people. You don't know Guy Gardner, you don't know Hawkgirl, you don't know Mr. Terrific, you don't know these people. And I think he did a great job of putting them in there without having to add a lot of backstory, but you get to know their characters. They go and you kind of assume, okay, this is this person. And I think we're going to see more, and it's going to flush out more. Like right now, we're just getting the lightning strike of, hey, here's if you just walked into a comic book store and picked an issue out of the back issues and you started reading, maybe you'll get hooked, and then you're going to want to read the back issues, right? So I think that's there for those people. As a DC fan, it has the energy that I was looking for. Like, I brought out two of my favorite books of the Justice League series from the early 90s, and that's the other thing I like. James Gunn definitely read the same comic books I read, right? He read those post-crisis on Infinite Earths books. He read the Justice League America, Justice League Europe, Justice League International, and he filled it with that stuff. And I believe he's going to fill it with more of that stuff. And I'm so excited to see how this runs with all the TV shows. Of course, I'm excited about the Lanterns. Because again, yay Green Lantern, out of Green Lantern, DC Phantom Zone, finally. Even if it is Guy Gardner, is not my favorite, but it definitely had the energy I love. So like, I brought out Justice League America 66, right? I'm going to show this to you. This is the energy of the film that I was looking for, right? Guy Gardner, Superman. If you flip to that first page in the book, this was the energy I was looking for. This energy between Guy Gardner's ego and Superman's Boy Scoutness. Perfect. It has humor. It has darkness to it. It has, basically, if you go to Justice League Europe title, it has this humor, right? By this this issue of this comic, or this cat's not going to make it. That sums up this film perfectly. Like, it's comedy, but it's dark violence, it's humor, it's the characters. It is a comic book come to life. So if you even have a passing fancy for it, go see it. If you're looking for big cinema, drama, tears, laughter. Superman is an all around great, 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 great film. The characters are great. The actors who fulfill these roles are great. The story that's going to unfold from this is great. So go see it. Now, last couple minutes here, I'm going to give a couple spoiler alerts. So if you want to bow out, those of you who haven't seen it, bye bye. We'll wait for them. Hey. All right. So a couple spoiler alerts. My big concern is the Jor-El quote that he gets into that sets Superman up to be, in charge of all the stuff. Like, use the word because I don't want to get banned off this app, right? So, Schmicktator, I think people use on the app, which we see if you've read books like Red Sun. You know what that kind of world looks like, where Superman chooses to use his power for domination rather than good. If you haven't read Red Sun, read Red Sun. It's one of the best, I think, one-shots of Superman. But we also see that kind of Jor-El in Smallville, where he's kind of manipulative, right? I don't think it's accurate. I think we're relying a lot on Lex to tell us what that quote was about. But I think that's going to unspool, and obviously Supergirl coming up, which I'm very excited about, and they set that up nicely too, is probably going to look more into this quote to know if, because I just, that's, not my Jor-El. But it's happened in books, right? It's just different inceptions of Jor-El have been manipulative, but he's not like a General Zod, which is, all these things. If you're into it, you'll see it. So Jimmy Olsen, wow, Jimmy Olsen, the player, amazing, hilarious. I love the love story between Lois and Superman. I like that they jumped right into all this stuff. I like that they didn't just give us the same backstory over and over. James Gunn, wonderful job on that. It just picks up. Like, obviously, we've seen this in different books, different inceptions of this. Obviously, the idea of recognizing who Superman is. And I know there's this controversy out there right now that Superman, this is a movie about immigration, whatever. If you didn't know that Superman was an immigrant from the planet Krypton, and you haven't seen every version of Superman, even if you never read the comics but saw only the movies, even Superman 4, right? He makes a speech at the United Nations, and nobody likes Superman 4. I kind of do. John Cryer was hilarious. He makes a speech about how he's not from here. Like, did you just wake up today and think that Krypton was a small town in Kansas? Because it was all about this all the time. Like, if you go to comic conventions, you know that comic books and comic conventions and the idea behind comics is about opening your mind to different types of people. If you think this was woke, then your mind is going to be blown if you ever pick up the Green Lantern, Green Arrow series by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams from the 1970s, where they investigate things like racism and fighting for women's rights and labor rights and Native American rights. You just haven't read comic books. If this is shocking to you, like, I don't know what you're doing, but you got the wrong messages. So this is a message of hope. It's a message of joy. It's a message of what it means to love your fellow human beings. And I think right now, this is the perfect time for this type of movie where we're looking for that kind of hope. So if you're a comic book fan, this should be right on your radar to understand that this is what comics have always been about. Like, unless you were part of the comic book code, but even then there was underground. So, I don't know. It is what it is. But sorry to talk a little long. I just thought this movie was incredible and amazing, and I'm looking forward to all the setups of what's happening next, from Supergirl to the Authority, and go out and buy yourself a comic book subscription. And if you haven't yet, go pick up Mark Waid's New History of DC. If you're a new DC fan, you want to know what's going on. Issue 1 has already come out. Issue 2 is coming out in 2 weeks. And it's going to set you up so that you understand kind of all the passing backstory if you're interested in knowing, like, where's DC been, where's DC going. Mark Waid's a great genius in this stuff. And it was also great, before I run this out of time, that last credits that rolled. The two trailer scenes, or the 2 tag scenes, are great, but what really got me was that special thanks, and they thanked every major artist who ever worked on the Superman books, and that got me deep, because those are the names I read, and I am so grateful to all of you, so grateful to DC, Warner Brothers, all the cast, James Gunn. Thank you, thank you, thank you for bringing us this film, and thank you for getting Green Lantern out of the Phantom Zone.